Okay, so in this video we're going to be having a look at proportion in context. Now for the majority of the video we're going to be focusing on direct proportion, but right at the end we are just going to have a little look at inverse proportion, which as well is going to be linked in the description below. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so our first question. Now this question here says that 3 kilograms of cheese costs £54, and it says that Alice buys 2 kilograms of the cheese. Work out how much Alice pays. So when we're looking at direct proportion like this, we want to break it down into a single unit. Now the units in this question are in regards to kilograms, and it says that we have 3 kilograms that cost £54. So to break this down into a single unit, we're going to break it down into a cost for 1 kilogram. So to get the cost for 1 kilogram, well, if 3 kilograms is 54, then we would need to divide it by 3. And for some of these questions you may have a calculator, but we'll assume that this can be done without one. So we need to do 54 divided by 3 to get the cost of 1 kilogram. So if we do a little bit of division, 3 into 5 goes once, remainder 2, and 3 into 24 goes 8. So that working out there has figured out that 1 kilogram is equal to £18. Now of course we don't want to get 1 kilogram because the question says here that Alice buys 2 kilograms. So in order to get to 2 kilograms, all we need to do is multiply that by 2. So if we multiply both sides here by 2, just to visualise this, we'll get that 2 kilograms is going to be equal to 36. And again, you can do some working out for that if you need to do 18 times 2 using some multiplication. But we get a final answer there, and the final answer is 36. Of course, this is about money, so our answer would be £36, but there we go, there is our final answer. Okay, so let's have a look at another question. So as you've already seen with the first question, our whole process here is to get the cost of 1. And in this particular question, it says that 8 identical pencil cases cost £12, and we want to work out the cost of 10. So this time we are going to get the cost of 1 pencil case, but this time we have 8. So we need to actually do £12, the amount, divided by 8, and that is going to leave us with a decimal. So for this one here, we just need to be careful when we do our division because we're doing 8s into 12. Now hopefully you can already spot that that's not going to fit in perfectly, so I'm going to add some decimal places afterwards as well. So 8 fits into 12 once with a remainder of 4. So carrying the decimal up, 8 fits into 45 times, and because this is money, I'll add the 0 on at the end as well, because that's worked out that 1 pencil case is equal to £1.50. So if I put 1, and I'll put PC for pencil case, and that is equal to £1.50, and this question here wants us to work out the cost of 10. So to get the cost of 10, we would multiply both of these by 10, and that would give us our total cost. So for 10 pencil cases, and again, this is quite a nice one because multiplying by 10, we can just hop the decimal over the 5, so it becomes 15.00. And obviously writing that in terms of money, that is a cost of £15. So that is how we're going to go about answering these questions. So for both of the questions that you're going to practice, you need to work out the cost of 1 in whatever regards the question is about, and then you can work out the cost of however many it's asking for. But you always need to make sure you go back to 1. So let's have a look at some questions for you to have a go at. Okay, so here's your 2 questions. They are very similar to the ones that we've just looked at. So pause the video there, have a go at these 2. We'll go over the answers in a second. Okay, so for the first one, we've got 5 kilograms of jam costs £45, and Alice buys 3 kilograms, work out the cost. So to get the cost of 1 kilogram, we would do 45 and divide it by 5. So for the working out here, 45 divided by 5, you should hopefully be able to do that without using division because that is only a single digit answer. The answer is 9, so we're not going to need that working out for this particular one, but always there if you need it. So that is going to be a cost of £9. We now need to work out the cost of 3 kilograms of the jam, so we would multiply that by 3. So 3 kilograms is going to be equal to 9 times 3, which is equal to £27. And there is our final answer for our first question. On to the next one. Very similar to our second question, 6 identical t-shirts cost £27, work out the cost of 10. So again we need to do some division here. And again, you're going to see that when we divide £27 by 6, we are going to get a decimal. 6 fits into 24 4 times with a remainder of 3. So when it goes into 27, we're going to have that remainder of 3 to carry over, so we need to hop the decimal back up there, and then 6 goes into 35 times. Again, this is money, so that is £4.50. So the cost of one t-shirt, if I put 1TS, is equal to £4.50. Now again, this is wanting the cost of 10 t-shirts, and 10 is always quite a nice one, particularly when we're practicing, because we can do that relatively quickly by just hopping the decimal. So we get the cost of 10 t-shirts is going to be equal to £45. And there we go, £45, and that would be 0 pence afterwards, but we could just write that as 45. So there we go, that is some direct proportion. Now what we're going to have a look at is some slightly trickier ones, similar to the ones that we saw on the screen at the start of the video. Okay, so let's read through this question. It says here that 5 boxes of cereal have a total weight of 1,750 grams. It then says that 4 boxes of cereal and 3 sachets of sugar have a total weight of 1,490 grams. Work out the total weight of 3 boxes of cereal and 2 sachets of sugar. So this question's different because we have 2 different variables. We have the cereal and we have the sugar. So we need to figure out one of them first, and let's have a think about which one we can work out straight away. Because that first line just says about one of the variables, it just says 5 boxes of cereal have a total weight of 1,750. So we can work out one of the boxes by dividing that by 5. So let's just have a think. We've got 5 boxes is equal to 1,750. So our first step to get the weight of one box would be to divide that by 5. So we will divide it by 5 and we'll do our working out to the side. So 1,750 divided by 5, well 5 goes into 17 3 times, remainder 2, goes into 25 5 times, and then 0 at the end. So the weight of one box is going to be 350. Of course this is in grams. And the final part of the question, which we don't have to work out straight away, but it wants us to ultimately work out the weight of 3 boxes. So straight away we could multiply this by 3, and again you could work this out at the end once you've got the singular weight for both, but we may as well just straight away times that. So 3 boxes, and that is going to be 3 times 350. 2 times 350 is 700, add another 350 is 1050. Again, you could spend some time just adding 3 of them together using column addition or multiplying it by 3, but there we go, we have the weight for 3. So let's get rid of this working out and move on to our next piece of information. So the next part is obviously we have the sachets of sugar. So for this second line here, it says that 4 boxes of cereal and 3 sachets of sugar have a total weight of 1,490. Well, if we work out the weight of 4 boxes of cereal, as we know the weight of 1, then we could have a look at working out therefore what the weight of the 3 sachets of sugar are going to weigh. So if one box is equal to 350, 4 of those boxes is going to be 1,400 grams. And obviously it says in the question that the weight, including the 3 sachets of sugar, is 1,490 grams. So that is going to be adding another 90 grams. So those 3 sachets of sugar are equal to 90 grams. So we can write that down. So 3 sachets is equal to 90. Of course, we want to break that down and go back to 1 sachet. So we can divide that by 3. So if we divide that by 3, we're going to get that 1 sachet is equal to 30. There we go. And obviously the question here, and we'll swap colour again, wants us to work out the weight of 2 sachets of sugar. So we can straight away multiply that by 2. And if we multiply that by 2, we're going to get that 2 sachets is equal to 60. And that is the second part of our answer. Now, of course, this question here said work out the total weight of 3 boxes and 2 sachets. So we're going to want to finish this off by writing the total weight. And that is to take our 1,050 and our 60 and add them together. So for our final answer, we'd do 1,050 plus the 60, and that is equal to 1,110. And that is in grams, and that is our final answer. So quite a lot going on in that question. Obviously we had to work out the weight of one of the variables, then we used that to help us find the weight of the other one, and then once we'd found the weight of a singular amount for both, we were able to multiply them and work out the total weight for 3 of the boxes and 2 of the sachets. So that's what you're going to have a go at practicing now, but again, just remembering for each one you need to go back to a singular unit weight, or whatever the question's about. So let's have a look at a question for you. Okay, so there's 2 questions here, and obviously these ones do take a little bit longer. So pause the video, write these down, have a go at both of these, and we'll go over the answers quite quickly afterwards. Okay, so let's have a look. So for the first one here, we've got that 3 jars of paprika and 4 packets of basil have a total weight of 290. So we can't get anything from that straight away, but we can from this second bit of information, and that is that 7 jars have a weight of 210. So if we have 7 jars is equal to 210, if we divide that by 7, we get that 1 jar is equal to 30, and the question ultimately wants us to get the weight of 2 jars. So we'll have that 2 jars is equal to 60. I'm just going to underline that because that's one of our first answers. Now we can move back to the first bit of information. It said that 3 jars and 4 packets were equal to 290. Well, 3 jars is equal to 3 lots of 60, and that is equal to 180. Now the missing weight there is an extra 30 grams to get from the 180 back to this total weight of, oh no, not that one, this one here, 290. So it's not 30, to get from 180 to 290 is going to be 110. And that is for the weight of 4 packets. So for 4 packets is equal to 110. So we have the 3 jars is 180, the 4 packs is equal to 110. To get the weight of 1 pack, we're going to need to divide that by 4. Now that's not a very nice one because that is going to give us a decimal. So if we divide that by 4, we will get the weight of 1 pack, but 1 pack is going to be equal to, and if we do the working out to the side, 110 divided by 4, 4 goes into 11 twice, remainder 3. It goes into 30 up to 28. So that is going to be 7, and then we have a remainder of 2, and it fits into 25 times. That is 27.50 or 27.5. So 1 pack is going to be equal to 27.5, so let's get rid of that, and we can write that next to the 1 pack. So 27.5. It wants us to ultimately work out the weight of 2 packets of basil and the 2 jars, so we can multiply that by 2. And that's going to give us that 2 packs is equal to, and that is 27 times 2, 27.5 times 2 is going to be 55. So there we go, we've got our 55 and we have our 60. So to work out the total weight there, we would add both of those together. So that would be 60, add the 55, which gives us a total of 115 grams. And there we go, that's our final answer for the first one. Obviously I'm going through this quite quickly, but there's quite a lot for us to get through here, so I'm going as fast as I can. So 6 tins of soup have a total weight of 2,400 grams, and then we have 4 tins and 5 bread rolls that have a total weight of 2,350 grams. Work out the total weight of 4 tins of soup and 3 bread rolls. So if first of all we look at the tins, so we have 6 tins is equal to 2,400. If we divide that by 6, we get that 1 tin is going to be equal, and that's 24 divided by 6 is 4, so we get 400. Again, you could do your division for that. We then obviously need to get 4 tins of soup for our final answer, so 4 tins is going to be equal to 1,600. Again, I'll underline that as that's part of a final answer. So moving on to that second bit of information here where it says that 4 tins of soup and 5 bread rolls have a weight of 2,350. Well, that's quite nice because we've already got the 4 tins. So if we do 4 tins, which is 1,600, how much extra is it to get to that 2,350? Of course, what we're doing here is 2,350 take away 600, but that is an extra 400 to get to 2,000 plus an extra 350, which is an extra 750. So we've got 750, and that is related to the 5 bread rolls. So 5 bread is equal to 750. So to get the weight of 1 bread roll, we're going to want to divide that by 5. Again, doing the working out to the side, 750 divided by 5. 5 goes into 7 once, remainder 2, 25 5 times, so it's 150. So 1 bread is equal to 150, we'll get rid of this working out, and obviously the question there wanted you to work out the weight of 3 bread rolls, so you would times that by 3, so 3 bread rolls is going to be equal to 450, I'll underline that because that's part of our final answer, and now we have the weight of 4 tins and 3 bread rolls, so we just need to add them together, so 1,600 plus the 450 for the 3 bread rolls, and that adds up to 2,050 grams. And there we go, that is our final answer for that second question. Right, so there we go, quite a lot to squeeze in a small amount of space, but we got there in the end. So that is how you are going to go about working out these direct proportion questions when they are in context. Now obviously there is another side to direct proportion, and that is when you are looking at inverse proportion. And again, I have done a full video on that, but what we're going to do is have a look at one of these questions, and then if you want to have a look at the full video as well, you can go and have a look at the inverse proportion video, which will be linked in the description. Okay, so this is something which is in inverse proportion. So if we have a look at this, it says it takes 12 workers 5 days to complete a job. Work out how many days it would take 3 workers. Well, the reason this is different to direct proportion is when we looked at direct proportion, if we were saying, let's imagine that we were buying 5 items, well, 3 items would cost less, or the number would go down that we're working with. So here, if we're looking at the workers, does it make sense that if we do less, or if we have less workers, the amount of days would decrease? Because that doesn't make any sense. If we have less workers and less people working on a job, then it's going to take longer. So actually, as we decrease the amount of workers here, the actual amount of time is going to have to go up. And that word inverse means to do something in reverse. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to do the process completely in reverse. So if 12 workers, and we're going to write this down, 12 workers is equal to 5 days, then how long would 1 worker take? Because ultimately we're always trying to get back to that singular amount. So 1 worker, instead of what we would do before, which is to divide by 12, this time what we actually have to do is multiply by 12. And that is going to take our amount of days to a different amount. So obviously on the left here we are actually dividing by 12, but we do the opposite to the other side. So we're going to times it by 12. And that is because obviously that we're going to have 1 worker, then it's going to take 12 times longer, because normally they would have had 12 people doing the job. So the 5 days that it would take 12 workers is actually going to go to 60 days for 1 worker. This now allows us to work out the amount of time it would take for 3 workers. So on the left here, as we are multiplying this by 3, we're going to do the opposite to the other side. So as we have 3 workers, it's going to take us less days than having 1 worker, and it's going to be 3 times as fast. So we're going to divide by 3. So our 60 days ultimately ends up being 20 days. So as you can see, this is quite a bit trickier than direct proportion, because as we multiplied on the left and divided by 12 to get the amount of time for 1 worker, we multiplied the amount of time by 12, which was the opposite to obviously dividing by 12. The same when we were multiplying the workers, we then divided the amount of time. So this topic here can be found quite confusing. So again, if you are struggling on this one or to understand that concept, I would suggest having a look at the full video. You are going to have a practice question, so you never know, you might be okay with this topic straight away, but it's definitely worth checking out the full video, because there's also some elements to this that you need to think about. One of those being that this is only going to work if all the workers work at the same rate. Obviously, if we have 1 worker that isn't working very well, then potentially the time could take longer, or it could take less if we obviously have a very good worker. But there we go, that is the concept. Let's have a look at a question for you to have a go at. Okay, so this is the very last question. It said it would take 120 minutes to fill up a garden pond using water from 5 taps. How many minutes will it take to fill the pond if only 2 taps are used? So see if you can figure this out. Obviously, if you're struggling, you do have the full video to go to, but see if you can answer this one. Pause the video there, we'll go over the answer in a sec. Okay, so it takes 120 minutes. There we go. When we have 5 taps. Now I've decided to write this in a slightly different way here because obviously we are going to have on the right now going down to 1 tap. So we're going to go down to 1 tap, which is dividing by 5. And that means we're going to have to multiply by 5 on the other side. 1 tap is going to take longer. It's going to take 5 times longer than the 12. 5 times 120 is equal to 600. So that's going to take 600 minutes. Now for the next step, we want to know if only 2 taps are used, how long would it take? So to get to 2 taps, we would multiply this side by 2, which obviously gives us our 2 taps. And that means that on the left here, our time is going to decrease by 2. So we are going to divide it by 2. So that's going to give us in total 300 minutes. And again, we are making some assumptions here that all the taps run at the same rate. And of course, if they don't, it could take longer or it could take more time than the 300 minutes. But there we go, that is our final answer. And that is a little bit of inverse proportion just to give you an introduction to that. And again, I'll link the video for that in the description. So I hope you found this video useful and helpful. If you did, please like, please comment, please subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.